Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with Catherine Landschoot. Excited to have her here, the founder of Make It Matter Ministries. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you.
I'm used to seeing you here with one of your family members. I got to meet your amazing son and daughter
Yeah.
over the past few weeks. I know you're from Shortsville, New York. I'll have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you
Okay.
do.
Yes. Hi there. I'm Kathy Landschoot. I am founder of Make It Matter Ministries, like was just indicated. I decided that after doing counseling and therapy and so forth in the field of addictions for many, many years, that we had a missing link out in the community. I worked in for the Department of Corrections for New York State for over a decade, and in a local county jail prior to that, and watched as people transitioned into our communities and going back home after serving time and so forth. And I'll tell you, we make really, really good decisions when we are up against a wall. There's no doubt about it. When life hands us, the difficulties that we face sometimes, you find yourself in a place you didn't expect. You find yourself in a place where you've lost some things. Maybe you've lost everything. I've seen that over and over. And I don't know, there's hope out there for everybody, and I really believe that. So with working with the individuals that I've had for so long and seeing so much loss and so much grief, I noticed that when we make decisions in transition, the intent is great, but it's not necessarily balanced with the outcome and the actions and behaviors that we want to go along with what it is we've decided. And I found that life coaching kind of fits that bill. When we go to a counselor, a therapist, and talk about the things that we've carried for so long, we unload. And I like to say we unpack our suitcase,
Got it. And speaking of unloaded, we have a caller in already. Hi, welcome to the show.
Beautiful.
Hello, hello. Oh, maybe it was an error, but 631-205-6605. Again, 631-205-6605. Feel free to call back. Ask any questions as we continue.
Awesome.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, it's okay.
In
That's
a good
great.
way, though. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I just, we unpack our luggage with therapy and counseling and that kind of thing. But then we've got this empty suitcase. We're ready to move forward. We're ready to take on a new life. And we don't really know what to pack sometimes. If we've got good support around us, we've got, people around that have given us advice, and we've learned from the lessons of our own lives. And maybe we've gone to classes, maybe we've gone to treatment and that kind of thing. And we get really great ideas, but then how to implement them kind of gets cut short, and we feel overwhelmed because it's completely out of the habits that we've been living with for so many years. So counseling is wonderful to unpack, and coaching is the next step. If you're having any struggles with moving forward with the decisions that you've made, that's where a great life coach is really, really helpful, because we can, in relatively short periods of time, help you to pack the really good practical tools that you need to follow through with those decisions you made. I like to say that I like to say that there's a difference between decisions and commitment. If I have a decision, it's something that I've decided this is what I'm going to do. But if I don't follow through with it, I lack the commitment that gives the feet to the decision that I made. So commitment gives feet to decisions. And when we want to move forward, we have to be able to have some kind of a plan. The old saying, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. There's a lot of truth in that.
Oh my goodness. I never heard it. That's so true though.
Okay. Yeah, it really is. So what I was thinking about this morning, more than anything, recently, I've been talking to a lot of people who struggle with having been victimized in their lives. Something terrible, traumatic has happened to them. And it may have been years. As a matter of fact, it usually is years and years ago. And here we are, 5, 10, 15, 25, 35 years later, still carrying all of that, I'll call it again, baggage of the pain and the destruction that incident took its toll on them with, and just not able to move forward effectively enough to be able to have the kind of life that you deserve. And so I really wanted to talk about what a victim truly is and when it is that the victimization actually ends. Victimization happens to all of us at one point or another in our life. And it varies tremendously from one person to the next. It may be that, a tornado came through my city and it took down my house and we lost all of our belongings. That's something that we couldn't stop. We couldn't control it, and we can't change it. When those three pieces, stopping, controlling, and changing, are present, I am a victim then in that moment. Okay. Same thing goes and applies though if it were more personal. Say I was abused when I was a child or as a teenager or whenever. Maybe I was raped. Maybe those kind of personal injuries and those personal attacks that happen. I want to remind you again, in that moment, I can't stop it. I can't change it. I can't control it. So my question to everyone is to contemplate for a minute, when does the victimization stop?
Good question.
There's a lot of controversy about that, and when I asked that question in a group yesterday, one of the answers was amazing. I thought it was wonderful. The young lady said, the victimization stops when I stop allowing it to rent space in my head.
Yeah.
That's a great answer and it's a great thought, but I want to go even further than that. When we talk about what a true victim is, we're talking we can't stop it, we can't control it, we can't change it. I don't choose that. I'm not letting myself be a victim, if that makes sense to anybody. I'm not letting myself. What that means is I do not have anything to do with the thing that happened to me. It is not my problem. It is the problem of whatever it is that created that trauma. It's the fault of the hurricane. It's the fault of the tornado. It's the fault of the person that did whatever they did to me. It had nothing to do with who I am or what I'm about. And that's so important for us to start to understand. The second whatever it is that's happening that's victimizing me stops, that's when I'm no longer a victim. I am now a survivor. From the second whatever it is that's victimizing me stops, I am no longer a victim. I'm only a victim when it's happening. Okay. So what that can translate for the hope that we can have is to start to understand that if the next step after victimization is survival, what does that say about me? What does that say about my tenacity? What does it say about my ability to overcome horrible, horrible things that have happened to me? But I don't recognize it because I'm still feeling that I'm in the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I recognize that I'm actually a survivor, what can that feel like as a survivor? Well, if I survived it, that means I'm stronger than I thought. It means I have more ability to overcome than maybe I've recognized. And when I start to recognize and give myself credit for the fact that I came through that instance, then I start to feel a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little bit more capable of moving forward. So we're going to go from being a victim to now, the second it's over, I am a survivor. As I start to understand that I'm a survivor, I start being able to live my life because I'm recognizing this was not my fault. This isn't something that I brought about or caused. Forgiveness is a huge piece, and that's probably a piece for another day, but I will throw that in there that, being able to forgive what happened doesn't happen because whoever did it or whatever the case was, it's not because that makes it okay and I'm forgiving for their sake. I need to forgive that it happened because whoever did what they did to me was not a well, healthy, adjusted individual. People who do the things that hurt us are not well people. Therefore, I know if I didn't cause it and someone who was not well was the perpetrator of it, I can forgive what happened more easily and allow myself the freedom to move forward. Excuse me, I need to get my dog who's crunching on a bottle,
But
okay?
I'm going to grab my water bottle. Is that okay?
Well, beans,
Let's
that
do
works.
it. Let's do
Do
it.
it. All right. It's a wonderful microphone. It picks up everything. All right.
All done. I'm grabbing it.
Okay. Perfect timing. There we go. Yay.
Love the mobility
There
and
we go.
flexibility of a good guest. We got to do so.
Yeah.
I'll get water then in the meantime. I was kind of like,
Yay,
I
yeah.
can use some.
Yeah,
I have some tea, but
absolutely.
I'm like, I need some water. Thank
It's
you.
awesome. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So as I was saying, once we get to the point that we recognize our own value, because it's so easy to say, if I had done this or I hadn't done that, then this wouldn't have happened to me, especially when we're young. You know, if I was an abused child and I had someone who took advantage of me,
Mhm.
I think there's something wrong with me. And a
Yeah.
lot of that comes because they'll tell me that too. They'll
Mhm.
tell me you don't say anything to anybody. It might be somebody who, threatened your family or threatened your well-being or the well-being of somebody that you love. You're truly victimized in that moment. But make no mistake, the second that stopped, you are now a survivor. That is an amazing and incredible gift. So as I learn to understand that, I learn to forgive the illness that created the circumstance. I start to be able to say, you know what? I did okay. Look at where I've come from. Look at how far I've come, And here I am, maybe it's years later, I have my own family and I'm struggling still because that happened to me and I haven't gotten over it. When I start putting those pieces together, think about if we can put ourselves in the future a little bit, think about how tenacious and courageous and strong a human being I
True.
am after having come through all that. Here I am with my whole new life in front of me. And if I recognize that I actually came through that and give myself credit,
Yeah.
my self-esteem increases, my self-confidence increases. I am more now in a better position than I ever could have been to help somebody else who's gone through the same kind of thing or
Yeah.
may face those kind of circumstances like my own children. What better way to understand something? There's no better way than to have experienced it in some form. So again, I'll put the layers. We've got we've got victim at the very bottom layer. Then we have survivor. On top of that, we have I'm living my life, but there's a higher level still. And that is that I am thriving in my life. And a lot of that will happen because I went through that, because I experienced that horrible, awful thing. Here I am now, better prepared than anybody else I know to be able to handle really difficult situations, because I can look back now and see how much I've grown and how much what I've learned from the horrible thing that happened, how much I've learned about myself and what I'm capable of. And I've said it before in other interviews earlier, if you've heard some of them, I find now my greatest gifts came in those horrible, ugly, and grotesque packages.
Wow.
I would not be where I am today if those things hadn't happened. I wouldn't be, I certainly would not be on this podcast. I would not be talking with Jill. You would not be hearing my voice if you're listening, those of you that are listening right now. You wouldn't be in this moment if you had not come from where you are, because our lives would have taken us in different directions. So I really encourage people to take a look at where they've been from a different perspective. If we have anybody, I don't know if anybody's got any questions about that or experiences that they've gone through or whatever. But if I can't do anything more today than to just encourage you that if you have been victimized in your life, know right now in this moment where you are and where you're placed geologically, where you are in your physical space, in your mind, in your spiritual walk, wherever it is, you're not a victim right now. You are no longer victimized. That stopped the second whatever it was that happened, the second that was over. You have been a survivor since that moment. And build on that. Recognize the fact that you came through that. Maybe you're using substances, maybe you're having a hard time with relationships.
Yeah.
There's stresses and strains from everywhere. We live in a rough world right now. Recognize your own strength that you have gotten this far.
It's so true.
Reach out and find the support that's available for you. I think that we live our lives too long not recognizing what we're really worth and what our true value is.
Yeah.
Your value cannot be found in in your past. You are not you are not, I don't even remember how I usually say this. You're not a product of your past. You are a product of what you have overcome.
Yeah. Wow.
You know,
That's awesome. Amazing. But you got to also have that positivity, that mindset that not everybody has. And hold on, guys, please call if you have any questions. 631-205-6605. 631-205-6605. Sorry to interrupt. And
that's
just want to
okay.
remind everyone, Catherine Landschoot, who are we talking to? And tell us how we can reach you.
I'm at area code 585-577-7715. My website is www.makeitmatterministries.org. And I provide, I like to say, coaching for real life. I like real life conversations about real life problems, and we have real life solutions that can be helpful for anybody, no matter what you've gone through. There is hope that you can grow and move forward. Even if you don't have necessarily a positive outlook on things, I would say, especially when you don't, this is a good time and a good thing to pursue, to find other people who do have some of that they can share with you, because your unhappiness and your the tendency to see the glass half empty and to just see the problems that are there, that's a habit that you have created and done so much so often, you don't even recognize that it's a choice. And I'm telling you, the great news is that it is a choice. And just like I can get into the depths of despair and depression and anxiety and all that, I can unlearn some of that stuff and learn new ways that I can start using. A lot of it comes from self-talk.
Yeah.
If I get up in the morning, I'm like, oh my God, I'm here for another day. What am I, nothing ever goes right for me. This is going to be a horrible day. Guess what? You've just decided what your day is going to be like before it's even started. Where just making myself say, okay, this is a new day. I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't have to be, oh, this is a great day, although that's a good way to start your day. It's a great way to start your day. But it could just be not expecting something horrible to happen. This is a new day. I don't know what today is going to bring. I'm going to see how it goes. That's where some of those statements were, one day at a time and that kind of thing come from. Because if we take the moment as it is, deal with that moment. If it didn't go well, I can make some adjustments and learn from that situation. If it went well, I know what to repeat. And it's just a moment by moment, step by step process to start changing my life and be able to move in a direction that I deserve to move in.
Awesome. I love that positivity. Go for it.
So we have any calls?
No, no one's calling yet. Yeah, I'm waiting for the mics to ring.
Yeah, let's go.
Go ahead, guys. Let me mention the number again, 631-205-6605, 631-205-6605. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So, again, with when things happen to us, it's really easy to just become so introspective that we don't look at what is possible still around us. It's like putting blinders on and saying, okay, well, now that that's happened, my life will never be the same. Things will never be okay for me. And those definitive, like generalized statements, never, always, things that should have been and they weren't, or things that should have, or I'm sorry, things that should have been that weren't, or things that shouldn't have been that did happen. Spending all of my time and energy thinking about those things and reliving them, I'm bringing on my own issues. You know what I mean? It's funny. I was talking with somebody the other day who said, this is a person that struggled with addiction for a long, long time, has medicated away their pain and their trauma, and doing some step work. One of the steps is to seek out people that I've offended and make amends with them. So in his process of doing this, he found a person that he hadn't seen in years and years that he had really mistreated. At least in his mind, in his perception. And he was telling us that that he had a conversation with the guy who remembered him. It was like, oh man, it's so good to see you. And they, they greeted each other, whatever. And he said, look, I just really want you to know that back in the day when such and such happened, I really shouldn't have done that. And I am so sorry. I'm here. I am. I'm on my road to recovery. I'm working on these things. And I just really want you to know how sorry I am for that. This is something that had bothered him for years, knowing that he had done this and it had been offensive and he had hurt this man. And when he apologized, his friend said to him, well, wow, I really appreciate the apology, but I'm not really sure I know what you're talking about. This is so important. We carry stuff that other people have forgotten about long ago. And again, I think that was a great example of how in my own perception, I can see this terrible thing and I might really be the only one that's remembering and carrying that heavy burden. So and grandma always said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So flip the script here. And let's say it's somebody who had hurt me and I was the recipient of the pain. Years later, I'm still living as if it still happened. That other person very often doesn't even, they don't even think about me. They don't give me a second thought. So not only was I victimized by that person, but I've been allowing the idea of the victimization for years and years and years. And I'm the only one who it's affecting anymore. They forgot about it long ago. So I just encourage you, let your old stuff go. Let it loose, let it go where it needs to go, because you are a person of value. You are stronger than you think. You have come through everything you've come through, and you're still upright and taking nourishment, as my grandfather would always say, right? I'm upright and taking nourishment. Yeah. We can understand that we're survivors. We can live in that victim zone. We can live there for the rest of our lives. We can start to understand that we survived that and start feeling good about it. We can then start living our lives. And more so than that, we can find the way to thrive and move forward. And what happened to me becomes part of where I build my strength from and where I find my ambition and my motivation to move forward and be the person that I was created to be and the person that I am meant to be.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being here, for sharing with us. And sorry, no one called in.
That's okay.
Catherine, it's all right. Tell us how we can reach you one more time.
Okay. I'm at makeitmatterministries.org is my website. And my phone number is 585-577-7715.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a fantastic day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.